All right, let's talk about making the picture the right size when you're using a template. So I've got a template. This is for the box pattern, and we've got 6 squares and different images are going in there. And the last one that I want to put on is this picture of cats, little Siamese cats. So typically you drag it in, right? But that's a little bit of a problem because we know it doesn't fit in that area. So I'm using the I am going to place the file and I'm going to move it into place and I'm going to transform it so I can get it into the general area of being a square, but it's not a square. So I'm going to show you 2 different ways to make sure this thing's going to work. So I'm going to start with Command T, and to constrain the proportions because we don't want to stretch stuff, I'm going to hold down the Shift key, grab this corner, and then resize it so that I know it's going to fit, at least relatively, to fit this little square area, which is where these cats are going to go. So let's make sure it fits. Now, I can't really see where those lines are, so I'm going to go ahead and lower the opacity of this particular layer so I can see right through it. So let's just move it into place a little bit better. Not bad. Okay. Now, the bigger problem is right now that I know I need to remove 2 sections, one on either side, so this thing is nicely centered the way that I want it. And let's pretend that I know it's going to work. But I really know it's not going to work. So I just chose a selection tool, the rectangular marquee, and I'm only working on the one layer anyway, so I know no matter what I select there, there's nothing there. And I'm just going to draw over this very simply because it's a straight line, so it's a super easy selection to make, and I'm going to hit the delete key. Oh, could not complete your request because the smart object is not directly editable. Right, exactly. So what do you have to do? That means you have to rasterize this layer, right? I wouldn't rasterize and rewrite blah 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 over and over again, but since I know that this is exactly what I need, I don't have to worry about rasterizing it or turning it back into a smart object several times while I'm making decisions. I've made decisions. I know exactly where this thing goes. So I am going to go to Layer, Rasterize, Smart Object. Okay, now you can see that little corner thing is gone, and all I have to do is hit delete, and it's perfect. Now I can just drag my selection tool over and into this area and hit delete again, and that's it, literally. Now I can bring my opacity back up, and there's my file. Now, the picture that's fitting right where I want it to, but as you can see, it's not in the right direction. Let's turn that off and you'll see the box top. Oh, that means the top of that image has to go where that dot is, so I got to flip that vertical. All right, edit, transform, flip, vertical. There it is. That looks great. Now that's just one of the 2 ways that you can do it. And sometimes it's good to know ahead of time what you're doing. So I'm gonna show you the other way. Okay, I've got my picture, it's on my desktop, and I'm going to drag it into Photoshop. There we go, in Photoshop. Now I know it's going to be a square, and I could choose it to just go square, right? So there's this thing, this little drop down thing, or I can choose width, height by resolution, which I often like to do. And I know that it's probably only going to need to be about 4 inches by 4 inches. So I'm just going to type in the information 4 inches by 4 inches. And my other document is a 300 DPI document. That's my resolution. So now I've got this picture, and I probably could have done a slightly better job of centering that thing, but that's okay. It looks okay, and you know what I'm doing, and you'll do it perfectly. So I'm just going to do this now. I'm going to select this document entirely because all it is one single layer, one single picture. Command A for select all, Command C for copy. Now I move over back to this document, and I'm going to get out of the crop tool, and I just do Command V for paste. And I'm pretty close, aren't I? It's going to fit right in this area. And again, we're just going to lower the opacity so we can see how it fits. And I still have to do the transform, so Command T for transform. And it should fit in there just nicely. Maybe not quite as nicely as I like, but that's not too bad. And we can always clean up those little edges later. Now you know how. And this is not a smart object. So at this point, I could easily just, drag my rectangle over and hit delete and clean up those little edges. Tiny little edges. A value. Okay, we don't have to worry about that. Let's just go here again and just clean that up. I'm going to move it over. Click, click, click. I'm using the arrow keys on my keyboard. I'm hitting delete and it just deleted it. Now I'm drawing another one over on the other side. I don't have to worry about the black edges because they're not going to really show up. When this thing is at 100%, it'll be completely opaque. And I am going to move it down just slightly because I can see that little white area. See that? We don't want that. We don't want to see those little dashes. Okay? So it fits. That's how you do it. Now, if I think I'm going to be moving this thing around again or doing stuff to it, yeah, I could simply come back to here and to layer and to smart object and convert it to a smart object, right? And also we have to flip it vertically because it doesn't look right. So flip vertical. I'm just going to remind you that when I have the box top, when I have that particular layer turned off, and you can see that the box top has to be where the dot is. That's the right direction for the cat's heads to be so that when the box is put together, it'll look right. Okay, so now it's all fixed. There it is. There's two ways how to do that without damaging or altering your template because that could be really frustrating. I hope this helps.